world's so dangerous, it's no need for frighten. Suckers trying to hide like the struggle won't find them till the sun busts through the cloud to clearly remind them it's everywhere. Welcome to the Rebel League. I'm your host, Daniel, with Channel Zero, reporting live from King Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. Read the writing on the wall. Big news happened today. We got John Boehner resigning from the Majority House Speaker position in the United States Congress. It's pretty big. It's October. We're not even in election season. You know, we're not even in the 2016 election season, and he's already calling it quits. And what I find interesting is not only that, but kind of like the events that led up to his resignation. The Pope has been, really big news as he's making, I think, his first visit to the United States. He was in D.C., Philly, New York, and he's been, drawing a lot of crowds. But what's also interesting about this guy is that he's a little bit more liberal on a lot of policies. He's like a contemporary pope. He's like the pope of today. It's really a change from what it has been. So he's been going around drawing a lot of crowds, but recently, he was in D.C. and he was talking to Congress. So, of course, John Boehner, super emotional guy, a Catholic himself. He was, very emotional during the speech. And then there's an article, I'll share it with you guys in the description as well, by, I think it was the New York Times, the Washington Post. The night before, reporters kind of noticed something different, and they told, their experience with John Boehner, and they were saying how excited, he was about the whole Pope, and how they could tell like it really, changed him and kind of like shook him or whatever. I want to read a couple of lines from the Pope's speech. He says, "Each son or daughter of a given country has a mission, a personal and social responsibility. Your own responsibility as members of Congress is to enable this country by your legislative activity, to grow as a nation. You are the face of the people, their representatives. You are called to defend and preserve the dignity of your fellow citizens in this tireless and demanding pursuit of the common good. For this is the chief aim of all politics." And then he goes on to say, "A political society endures when it seeks as a vocation to satisfy common needs by stimulating the growth of all of its members, especially those in greater vulnerability or risk." I think that's a really key part. "Legislative activity is always based on the care for the people." Think about that, like the word care. How much do you hear politicians talk about caring for the public that has represented them? "To this you have been invited, called, and convened by those who elected you." So it's like it's interesting how it's taking this guy to remind people in American politics just how to do their business. So I don't in any way think that the Pope's speech caused or was the main cause of why John Boehner resigned. However, I do think that it sped the process up. It was like he had already, because Boehner's dealing with the whole government shutdown again over Planned Parenthood, and we know how controversial not just Planned Parenthood is, but there's these new tapes that came out, and essentially the tapes were severely edited, where they can't even be used as evidence in court because they were manipulated so much. But somehow Congress, who knew about it, the GOP, who knew about it before, they knew ahead of time that this was going on, that this kind of sting action, this kind of sting was going on, just like what they did with Acorn. So these guys knew that this was going on ahead of time, and they waited for the public to see it and to gin up enough public fervor, and then they went ahead and made investigations to make it look like there was something going on, even though there's no evidence that Planned Parenthood was doing anything illegal. So the Republicans want to shut down the government over that. And I think with John Boehner, dealing with the extreme right and the others in the right, the two factions, I think that that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But from what it looks like, the dude is it seems that he's at peace. It seems that as though he did this probably because he just had enough, and it was probably tearing him apart, and he was like, "Look, man, I need to get healthy. I need to look out for myself. Fuck this stress." So if that's the case, big ups to him. But for most of his policies, you know, fuck that dude. But that's where I want to leave that. You know, let me know what you guys think about the whole situation, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.